There are challenges, and as you build, whatever stage you're at, you need to understand those challenges. And as we were saying at the start, market, no one sees more brands than and you see those challenges and you see it from both sides. So I'd really love you to talk about, what kind of gives that little, oh, this is interesting, and so what interests you and what interests the customer? How do brands rise to the top? What's the special elements?
What's the special sauce?
The special sauce,
Tricky
yeah.
question. I guess the first thing I'd say is when we're looking at a brand, of course we're looking at the hard things like the packaging, the product quality, the pricing, the positioning, sort of assessing all of the things that are on paper. But the fact of the matter is you can't analyze your way to a good brand. A good brand is about the emotional side, especially in beauty, and tugging on the heartstrings of the customer. And ultimately, that is what we are looking for, is something that we feel an emotion about, because that is what motivates someone to buy in beauty. I think most brands, you can't look at starting a brand as a gig, right? Like it's going to be a 15 to 20 year journey and you still might not get to $400 million. And so I think it is about being on that journey of delivering for the customer, and you have to be passionate about the means, not the ends, and that like really exciting and delighting the customer. And those are the brands, like you can really feel when it's genuine. You can really feel if that's what a founder cares about, if they care about their product and they care about their consumer, the way that Estee was talking, like that's the realness that we're looking for.
Yeah. And so Claire, I really wanted to talk to you about that because, it is that visibility and clarity, because you've got to say a lot when you come into a store, knowing they'll have already seen a lot, and land them. First they've got to find you, and then they've got to be able to shop from you and connect with the stands. What are the things that why is the shopper coming into a store that you understand, and what are the things that you think about to translate into the fixture?
We interview the founders ourselves to understand what do they want, what makes you tick, because you are in your gondola end, the glamorous piece of furniture, there needs to be a tiny bit of you. Your DNA needs to sit in that. We know that the vast majority of shoppers going into Space NK, they know they have a shortlist in mind. So help them navigate, help them wayfind to the things that they're actually looking for. Design your shop around the intentional buyer more so than the browser. We're still looking for inspiration, but give me that inspiration when you've shown me what I'm looking for, and denote some of the great things that I see done is how we're connecting the social, what was seen on social. You've done that beautiful lip work at the London store at the front so that you're able to see what's trending and the best sellers are pulled up front.
And Estee, I wanted to get you back in on the conversation because your brand sits in a category that's really massively driving right now. You talk to your customer all the time. How do you think that conversation has changed to move towards wellness as product in the way that they consider beauty now?
Well, I think beauty, yes, it's what you look like. It is the lipstick, it's the mascara, it's all of those products, which we all love, of course, we work in beauty. But I think so much of it now is down to how you feel. When I was starting out and talking to my audience, it was a lot about trends, get the look, aspirational, and now it's definitely feeling like people are exhausted by that. And people want to be the best versions of themselves, yes, but without kind of stretching themselves to the limit as well. That wasn't as much of a topic when I first started at all. It was kind of how can we cover this up rather than how can we get to the root.
TikTok has become a search engine. I mean, the stats on that are, 64% of Gen Z use it for search, 50% of millennials, and even Gen Xers like me, 30% of Gen Xers are using it. Why are they using TikTok? Why is it kind of moving away from searching just on Google? What does a TikTok search give you that really responds to what customers are looking for today?
That is such a good question. And I mean, it is wild. So that younger audience, literally, they use TikTok as their main search engine. So whatever the topic is, you go there first. And I think there are two things. One of them is really regarding the authenticity. and then learning from the people you trust. And the second thing is that you get it in a format, like video format. That's the preferred format of the youngsters today. Like you don't want to read anything, you just want to watch and listen. But I think like how TikTok Shop is changing things is very much like, and how TikTok is changing things, because it's becoming more like discovery channel. So easy for whoever to find new products, find new brands that resonate with you. And then actually all the influencers, affiliates play a huge part in that discovery journey.
Amazon has become a search engine, but so has ChatGPT and AI. And we can't have any kind of conversation about customer experience without talking about AI, and hence Danielle, thank you for being here. Because search on ChatGPT has increased by 70%. And again, it's all generations that are doing it. It's not just one single generation. Do you think trust in AI is changing? Do you think people are trusting it more, and why?
And a lot of my search is done through the internet. And some of it, yes, you think, is that true? I think, first of all, using that facility is not about, getting more results. It's about smarter information and trusted information. It's empowering beauty customers more than it ever did before. And it can transform all that overwhelmingness of so much information, so many products, so many brands, and make it streamlined into more informed confidence, which is guiding the consumer through discovery, through data-driven insights, and making it feel, going back to that word, authentic, more human, and definitely more personal.
Tom, I wanted to come to you. Having spent a lot of money talking to that customer, acquiring that customer, converting to that customer, that customer is also demanding at the other side of the journey, isn't she? How can you ensure that trust goes all the way through to the doorstep, as you like to say?
So here's a crazy, this may or may not be real because it's from ChatGPT, and it's also involving TikTok. But I did a quick search after the last panel about how many unboxing videos or how many views there's been on TikTok of unboxing videos. Anyone want to hazard a guess?
Billion.
45 billion. So yeah, to your point, your brand and everything that you do, even before someone actually commits to purchase, is just so visible, and they can literally experience almost the end-to-end process of your entire operation without even spending a penny with you. So that, I think the key thing for me coming out of all those videos is beauty is so personal. How people want to interact and experience a brand is personal, and I guess our job at the slightly less sexy end of the journey is to make sure that is carried through, as I said at the outset, right through to the doorsteps. Because let's be honest, we've all had a terrible delivery experience, and if that's your first connection with a brand, how does that make you feel? So our job is to uphold that end of the bargain and make sure that we're actually bringing that story through from the brand.
Yeah, the shop has changed because the world of beauty has changed, the world of choice has changed, everything around us has changed. But what's really interesting is that while digital is definitely the accelerator of growth, people still love, especially that lady at the end, she's got a love of the joy of shopping.
Yeah.
People still really want to come in, and for lots of different reasons. It's important that we understand what is she coming through the door for, why, and how are we going to make sure that we, really fulfill that motivation for her.
Sure. We are looking for everything we do should be engaging, right? All communication money should really be engaging. But the first thing we need proper navigation. We need to be able to ensure that when I arrive, and I'm more than likely to have that short list of products that I think are brands that I'm excited by, I want to go in there, I want to find them, I want to try them. So then you're in a moment of discovery. So discovery says, there was lots of talk of testers on there, and I'm sure you would have lots to say about the difficulty of maintaining a lovely hygienic station when actually we're coming in to touch, to feel, to put it on our skins and our faces. It's a really important one because it's the one where I believe the greatest conviction comes, and I'm coming into the store to compare and contrast the brands that I think I like. but when I'm there, I need to be able to compare and contrast them. That's quite easy to do online. It's really tricky to do in store. But then within that beautiful little playground of brand discovery, do your best, right? Get your best sellers up there, glorify them, make sure that they're there to try and to trial, but also have your new news alongside so that you're not just one product wonder, because you need to be able to ensure that if I like cheek, maybe I'll try eye or lip or skincare alongside. So I think, you know, our job is about creating productivity from those little branded spaces and making sure that nothing is left.
And so, you know, in that omni-channel world of customer behaviour, and then really looking for the right answers and to have a enjoyable experience, what have you seen in the customers' kind of attitudes and shopping habits?
So the consumer behaviors have changed, but fundamentally, to that question of like, why would you go into a store when you could buy anything you want online? Like, if you don't know what you want, a store is a great place to go because they've edited the range, and that's something that whether you're in a big beauty hall in Selfridges, or you're in a little Space and K down the street, or you're in a Boots or something, like the range is still edited because walls are not elastic. And so I do think there's an element of that edit, that when a customer comes to a store, they're already sort of looking for that help on what to find, or they may have a list of what they want to try, but they want that last minute like touch and feel before they actually do the transaction. So I do think that while all sorts of things have changed, then the core of beauty being a very like physical, tactile, sensorial category is still a constant. I think that consumer behavior is always changing, and you have to be responsive and reactive, and we spend a lot of time like reading customer data to try and react and not get in our own way by being slow. But yeah, the constant is that beauty's everywhere, but beauty is always going to be physical, even as it booms in digital.
But so Danielle, I wanted to ask you, they see AI as being to cut through the noise wherever you then make the purchase. Is that part of what you're doing at Ravine?
It's not about replacing humans, it's about actually enhancing the experience. Total fluidity. It's almost like she's been in the shop with the beauty advisor. And what it also does for the beauty advisor is it enables her to be at her best doing her job. Because if you were recruiting people and you didn't, and we all know, and that's a question later that you're going to bring up, but on a shop floor, there seems to be less people these days. But how great would it be able to be that that you can pick up an iPad, you can start the experience yourself, going back to the QR code on your phone, walk about doing it, or when she does become available, she can actually do the experience with you. That cuts down her time, but makes her really powerful in what she's doing. She can get the best products from a few simple questions, an analysis of your face, and then guide you, educate you, and take you over to the products before you actually take the products to the till. That's in a nutshell, without trying to be a salesperson.
Some of that kind of virtual education is also coming through TikTok. We're going to go back to TikTok, which is now, apparently, is this true? The fourth largest growing retailer. It's pretty disruptive.
So basically, naturally US is bigger in TikTok shop, but basically then the growth rates are just like equally massive. So in both markets, whether it's UK or US, within the next 3 years, social commerce is just going to double, which is wild growth rates. And then within a couple of years, social commerce will be 10% of the total e-commerce. But what's interesting, because we are in the beauty, which is the leading category of all social commerce categories, is going to be way bigger there. So I would say everybody working in a beauty, social commerce is something, and TikTok shop is something that you need to start embracing either today or then tomorrow, but really soon.
Yeah.
The customer is she, like mainly it's female, and there are like two core buying groups, like Gen Z, and like then 25 younger, so that sort of age group, but then also like millennials, 35-year-olds, maybe with kids. Okay, I'm back. So I think you find those two biggest buying groups, but don't get me wrong, like everybody is buying from TikTok shop. I'm calling it halo effect. So if you are widely successful, and you don't need to be even like widely successful, you don't need to go viral, but when you are successful in TikTok shop, then actually your Amazon picks up. And we've seen stories where somebody sold out from TikTok shop, and then all of a sudden their sales have massively peaked in Amazon and in other bricks and mortar channels, like it can be Sainsbury's or whatever channel you are in. It's just not your sales channel, it's just not your marketing channel, but it's actually first time ever these two like really seamlessly converging. And I think like I'm like, if you're wondering that yeah it's more costly, it might be less profitable, and it's like so complex, yeah, I'm signing all of those. But then again, like it's just not that channel, because then other channels where you operate in, like they'll be doing better. So I think like treat it as a marketing cost, at least initially, before it starts bringing you the actual revenue and profit.
A brand that goes beyond product. And I'd love to kind of understand a little bit more about that.
Well, the walks are just sort of one part of the way we bring our community to life. So that's an IRL activation. Something we have done recently, which is quite interesting, is a virtual retreat. And we called it Camp Mirror Water. And it lasted for 2 weeks. And this was something that my team could work on, that's something we could do and commit to for 2 weeks. And we had experts creating content for us. We did recipes. All our Instagram grid and all of our social channels turned into a camp. It turned out to be something that really resonated with our community. So in 2 weeks, we had a reach of over 800,000 people that were joining us for the retreat, which I thought was very interesting. So 77% of those 800,000 people were new. They don't actually follow us. So that was a way that we could get our brand message out there without huge marketing budgets. We didn't pay for that. We just created that content. So as I mentioned earlier, really building that community first brand, that's what we do. And that was one way that we did it recently, which was really exciting. And then obviously that turns into trust, which will eventually convert.
Come back to you, Margaret, because what you've done, and it's been happening over time, but Oxford Street, just love it. You know, translating and injecting the fun back into beauty, but also giving the browsability, the extended browsability that you can with new space. What was behind, I mean, I'm sure that was over time as well. You know, tell us about the kind of development of your environment.
We did want to create moments in the store that did cater to those different customer groups, because we were seeing that. And we are very much seeing, as I think every beauty retailer on the planet is seeing, a very multi-generational customer coming in. So it's not always like a teenager girl in her 20s with her friends. Like a lot of times it's families coming together. And so actually thinking about how do we cater to that moment rather than sort of just let it happen to us. And so that was really the thinking behind having a really fun, playful space at the front of the store that presents beauty in like a totally different way, that speaks to the viral drops like you get on TikTok, and the sushi train of body mists, and the blush and lip, and those categories will change and evolve as trends change. But then equally having the pause points for services in the middle of the store, and like a more elevated fragrance exploration with sort of organized by fragrance family and with personalized engraving and dedicated luxury and fragrance specialists. So I think the point was about how do we create moments that cater to those different customer missions and the different types of customers we're seeing, so it's not a one-size-fits-all experience.
So Ivy, I was going to come back to you because I just wanted to touch on experience, because we think about experience being very much a physical thing, but it's back to how is it becoming a virtual thing, because again, you just wow me with numbers all the time. You know, you talk about some of the numbers that can be taken on a TikTok live, like the mega lives, the 12, the 24 hours, the 48 hour megas.
12 to 16.
12 to 16 hours.
The usual.
So I saw a phrase that said that TikTok is the new Tupperware. party. That was in Sukarno, I didn't just make it up. But is that really what's happening around those mega lives? Are you seeing community congregate, or is it all just about price and offers and promotion?
There is definitely big money there, but like how I'm seeing this is that like it's the experiences that we are talking about here, and like you should treat live stream as your flagship store. Like Oxford Street, like Space NK, Oxford Circus, that's your live stream. Like imagine like when you're starting a brand, you might have like on your daily live streams like 20 people, 30 people at all times, and that's how you get started. But when you get big and when you do the mega lives, all of a sudden you have every single minute 1,000 people in a room or 3,000 people in the room, and like imagine having a store like that where you would have every second that amount of people, and that's the reason why I think that the live streaming is essential for any brand, because that's how you really build a community, and that's how you really engage the customers to spend time with you. So that's my statement, treat it as your flagship store.
We see that half of people globally have a mixed basket, and it's becoming a bigger part of the conversation as we go into economic downturn, and also so many choices and too much money spent and potentially wasted. How are you seeing that play out?
I mean, I think this is the customer, and
Yeah.
it has been forever. Like we in beauty have created these artificial segments that are like premium, luxury, masstige, whatever that, it's like, but that's not the customer, right? And we've known that, and even today I was sitting in a customer insights meeting, and it's like, you can have a preconceived notion that our deluxe customers who spent over £1,000, that what they're buying is Westman Atelier and Augustina Spotter and Diptyque candles, and you like imagine this customer in your head. What is she buying? She's buying Summer Friday lip balms and Laneige lip masks and Rare Beauty and Ordinary glycolic toner. She's buying the same things everyone else is, and like it's about that's the thing, and she's buying her butter. Don't get me wrong, and I do genuinely believe there's value to be added at every price point. But it is recognizing that threshold is getting higher of what it takes to get a customer to part ways with their money, and so you have to get everything right to deliver value. You have to get the basics right, and it's about having great packaging, great product, great delivery service, great visual merchandising. Like all of those things matter in order to deliver value for the customer. But absolutely. Mixed basket is and like people shopping at every level is who we have all been forever.
Yeah, that's good on that, because you talk to customers all the time, but influencer, as we know it, is waning, and it's quite interesting because it's waning in those countries where you think it wouldn't be, like China and India. It's actually becoming less of an influence. We're looking at other elements. What's the conversation around that?
Yeah, I think because I've kind of done both sides now, it's been really interesting for me. And I don't know if it's because I've already had sort of the height of my influential career in some ways. Like I used to be able to mention one product and it would literally sell out. But now there are so many content creators and influencers. It is hard to know who to trust in some ways. And I get messages from people all the time too that have watched me for years, and they'll say, Estee, do you really like that Hello Clean shower head? Or are you just getting paid to say that? And people will ask me, and I'm like, no, I really like it. And no matter how many times a content creator can hammer home, I only talk about the brands and the products I love, the customer is smarter than ever. So I think because of the saturation with all of the different content creators across all platforms, and especially with TikTok, basically I think people are getting smarter than ever and just trust no one except the people in their lives anymore.
My first job was in Harrods on the shop floor. As a management trainee, I was working with customers, and there was this piece that was drummed into me. Do you all know this phrase, or am I so old you've never heard it? It's retail is detail. All of the time that was shouted and shouted at us. It was Harrods in the 90s. And also that element of customer service and pride in customer service was a really good thing. And over time, there has been less investment in retail training, generally. There has been maybe less pride because there's other jobs that you could do that pay more, that don't maybe work Sundays and late nights, and and yet we still want that human connection. So how do we make the retail role great again in beauty, Margaret? What's happening there?
Yeah, I think that it's hard, you're right, because there's a lot of opportunities that people see, and I think a lot of people's dream now is to be a creator. And so I think we have a lot of staff. I think every beauty retailer has this, where you have staff that come so that they get the gratis, so that they can create content on their channel. Like, they're not in it for the customer part of it. But I mean, the way that we go after this is around investing in trainings that people feel like really invested in. So we invest about 15% of our total employment spend is on training hours. And that's like really product training and service training. Manager training is on top of that. So I think it is about making retail a desirable place to be, because there's sort of a money can't buy, salary can't buy experience in the workplace. But there's no question it's hard. And I think, retail becoming, it's harder to recruit people into retail and to keep them. And that's something that we focus on day in, day out. Like, how do we do this better all the time?